I've said many times on these videos that I think frequency is king when it comes to parameters of training, but that's not because I think frequency is the most important parameter. I just think it's the best way to accumulate volume as a natural athlete. When I first got into training, I used to think to myself, okay, the more sets, the better, the longer the sessions, the better, like all that kind of like bodybuilder type of mentality, one more rep, one more set, forced reps, all that stuff. That was the way to kind of break through to this new kind of strength gains and to the new realms of strength and mass and whatever. Those are the kind of stories that I believed when I first started training. It wasn't until I got exposed to that Eastern methodology, Bulgarians, Russians, Pavel Tsatsouline, when I read his book, Power to the People, and Matt Perriman's book, Squat Every Day. When I started reading some of those texts, I started realizing really the frequency is the king of all parameters. And that's, like I said, that's not because frequency is the most important. It's because frequency allows you to get that volume that you need. And as a natural athlete, it's very hard to recover from these monster sessions, from the sessions where you are burning your legs out, where you're like, pushing one more rep, force reps, all that stuff. I think it's very, very taxing, very expensive to go through workouts like that. This is why, ever since getting exposed to those ideas, I've always kind of gravitated towards high frequencies, because ultimately, in the heart of hearts, I know that volume is really the goal here. How much volume can your body tolerate in that perfect, universally agreed upon rep range, which is kind of about strength, builds the most amount of strength. And this comes from the Russians when a bunch of scientists took 4 Olympic weightlifting cycles, and they basically studied the most successful, gold, silver, and bronze medalists was studied. So they looked at those people and they worked out, in those cycles, in those trainings, in those seasons leading up to the Olympics, they worked out where they spent most of their time, in what sort of weight ranges. And they worked out it was between 70 and 85%. That's where the bulk of their work was. Those working sets were in there for the people that were successful. For people that were kind of 4th place, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, they didn't look at those. They were just interested in successful people. And so ever since that type of information came out, I guess after the Iron Curtain fell and all that stuff became readily available to the West and whatever, it was revealed, that was kind of the secret when it comes to periodization and strength training programming. Back then, Soviets were a lot different. They literally employed people to study sports science, unlike it's not the same in the West. In the West, Ronda Rousey goes over and freaking wins bronze, whatever she won in judo, comes back and she's basically homeless. Like, she has to work at a fruit shop to make a living. If Klokov comes back with a bronze from the Olympic weightlifting championships or Olympics or whatever, the freaking States, like, thank you for, bringing, pride to Mother Russia, that kind of mentality. So there's all these grants and whatever. I don't know what they get, but they're not homeless people. If you're an Olympian medalist, you're taken care of. And so, the whole system was geared towards that stuff, people making the country proud. So there's a lot of research that went into that. So basically, frequency allows you to get the volume, and volume is what we're really kind of measuring here. Now, a lot of people kind of look at volume per session. Really, the way I look at it and the way I've kind of learned to look at it is just look at volume per week. What sort of volume did you put in this week? What sort of volume did you put in last week? If you get caught up in some sort of plateau, you can do all sorts of stuff. It could be an exercise of you're doing too much volume and you're burning out, you don't have enough kind of building blocks recovering from those sessions, or it could be not enough, providing enough stimulus to get better. And so you can play with those type of things, and you can increase the volume per session, or you can increase your frequency. So the best way to increase frequency basically is to do it every single day. Or you can go down the Bulgarian pathway and do it 2 or 3 times a day. But you're kind of going into the, professional level type of setup where you're freaking living like an athlete, 8-hour a day kind of training blocks. So frequency allows you to get volume. Volume is really what's happening here, what's really making you progress. I remember Louis Simmons. Man, I've watched a lot of his 50, 40-minute clips on YouTube channel. You can go on there, look at his stuff. I speak about Louis Simmons a lot because, the guy studied the Eastern kind of philosophy, and, a lot of his West Side Barbell kind of principles come from the Russians. And, you guys know me, that I'm kind of more inclined to kind of that type of thinking rather than the Western kind of thinking. So, I'll go back to Louis Simmons, and his application is a lot different because he's about geared lifting, about, half squats to a box and all that sort of stuff. That's what he does. But I like to think when he's talking, because a lot of these principles are the same, it's just different application. He said, if you look at the volume of the guy who's the strongest guy in the gym, his volume is better than the guy that's the worst in the gym. And so what Louis says is that one way to look at, how strong you are is what sort of volume can your body take. So if you can take, let's say you can take more volume than the next person, you're probably going to be stronger. And how do you attain that volume? There's many different ways to kind of go about it. There's a lot of different kind of variables. If you're a girl, if you're a lighter lifter, it's a lot different to somebody that's a super heavyweight at 140 kilos. Like his 80% is a lot more taxing than somebody that's at 40, 50 kilos squatting 80%. There's a lot of different variables, but ultimately you can play around with some of these parameters, some of these ideas, and work out what allows you to get the most volume. Pavel Tatulin spoke about in one of his books, I can't remember where I got this from, but he said, if you want to press a lot, as in overhead press a lot, you need to press a lot, meaning you need to do a lot of volume. And I remember doing a program. It wasn't really a program. It was just basically more a philosophy and instruction. He said that you need to get, I'm gonna get mistaken, something around 30 repetitions in that 70 to 85% range. And you need to do that 3 times a week. So I try to do that. That's a lot of freaking volume. It's a lot of freaking volume, and you get stronger. But once again, you can't really stroll into a world record. The guys that are, getting all these records and who are improving at a rapid rate, they're working hard, man. They're doing a lot of volume. So if you're like a character, let's say you like to lift, calm, kind of like me. Let's talk about me. You like to lift in a garage, no stimulus, no soles, no loud music, nothing like this. Maybe you shouldn't train at 80 or 85%. Maybe you should train at 70% and still get that volume in that kind of agreed upon range. Still get your 30 or 40 reps or whatever you want to get it 3 times a week. Or you can disperse that, 120 reps, let's say if it's 40 3 times a week, and disperse that into 7. Whatever. There's many different ways. There's a lot of different variables, but ultimately volume. Today, that was on my mind. Yesterday was a very, very light day because the previous day, I basically did exactly the same what I did today. So I worked up to 200 kilo RDLs. 3 days ago, I did 3 sets of 5. Today, I did 5 sets of 5. So my resilience to fatigue is getting better. I was able to do 5 sets of 5. Very, very happy about that. Went to the back squats, worked up to 160 kilos with a pumped up back from the RDLs. Worked up to 160 kilos for 3 sets of 5. Dropped the weight to 140 and did 5 sets of 5. That's a shit ton of volume. And right now I'm wrecked. I'm really, really tired, but I did that because tomorrow I've got a day off work. I can eat like a horse right now. Heaps of water, heaps of nutrition, and I'll hope to get back to it tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a lighter day again. Yesterday I did a whole bunch of deficit deadlifts with super lightweight. But lots and lots and lots of volume. The trick with this stuff is that, these volume reps, they don't have to be, these volume sets, this volume doesn't have to be kind of hard yakka smashing. Like if you are smashing yourself every set, that's not going to last. You won't be able to come back in 2 days' time and repeat that. You won't be able to come back the next day. What you need to start thinking about, how I think about it, is weekly volume. How do I sneak up that volume week by week so my organism as a whole is more resilient to fatigue? Because ultimately, if you spend more time in that 70 to 85% range, you're going to get stronger. You're just going to get stronger. That's the proven method. Now, I've played around with all sorts of different ideas. I've tried to cheat the system. I've tried to work with sub 60, sub 50% for even more repetitions. So, I remember I ran a bit of a trial and I went, okay, I'm not going to run the 70 to 85%. I'm going to let's run 50%, but I'll freaking do 100 reps. I'll do 100 freaking reps and I'll try and make up for the lack of intensity with a whole bunch of volume, even more volume. That works great. That works great, but it doesn't train that connective tissue. It doesn't train those deep core muscles to brace. When you're working with, that 50% weight, like it's all cool, man. You're going to get the muscle response, but you're not really engaging that deep core stimulation. This is why I love pin squats, man. Oh my God, pin squats. I've been thinking about pin squats every single day. It's just I'm struggling to conceptualize where the hell to put that thing in, man. Like these RDLs, these damn deadlifts, this daily pulling. I don't think it's right now doable for me to do that. Pin squats as well, because pin squats, man, you're working with super maximal weights, man, like up to 240, 250, 260. So to go through that and then go through 200 kilos for sets of 5 on the RDLs, man, and then go to squats, that's a lot of freaking volume. So that's too much for me. But what I love about the pin squats is that you are freaking wrestling a damn bear. You can't do crunches, you can't do hanging leg raises, you can't do ab rollouts, you can't do good Turkish get-ups. Nothing will replace a freaking bear on your back, man. The muscles which we don't even have a freaking name on are being activated in the core to stabilize that trunk, to stabilize that spine, so the spine doesn't freaking shoot out of your back. So that's why I love pin squats. And, when I was doing the pin squats, if you guys recall, I had like 16 or 17 days in a row of hitting 200 times 1 because I was wrestling a bear before doing squats. So my core was so freaking ready and fired every single time I got to the squats that it was just like a freaking joke. I'll unrack 200 and I'm like, the hell is this pussy shit, man? Like, this is light ass weight. Even though it's maximum weight for me to hit 200, but because I just went through freaking wrestling a damn bear, this is like a joke. And we can talk about the central nervous system stimulation, all that sort of stuff. I think there's a multifactorial stuff here. I want to say, these are all kind of evolutionary kind of thoughts in my mind. I'm not all 100% there on some of these ideas, but I feel like you cannot get strong with super, super lightweight because of this thing. You can get strong, like, Tom Platt's work, bodybuilding kind of stuff. Predominantly, like, his repetitions were really, really high. He still did sets of 5 and whatever. You can still get strong, but his potential for strength is way, way, way higher than he ever squatted. So if he didn't care so much about hypertrophy and he cared about pure strength, if he started loading like several singles or pin squats and just working with sheer freaking weight, some of these structures below the neck would start getting, stronger. These damn ligaments between the vertebrae, the sacroiliac joint, like some of these structures will start getting stronger and tougher. You might lose mass because, you don't have that crazy volume that he was working with. But you get stronger adaptations. You get different adaptations for strength, moving sheer weight. But ultimately, this is kind of where I'm at right now. Just sneaking up that volume. Primarily right now, the chief exercise is the RDLs. The RDLs are offering me something which I've wrestled with for the majority of this year. This posterior chain business. I feel like the RDLs are the king because I get away from that braking inertia at the bottom. Feels good not to break inertia from the bottom while still loading a very, very heavy weight through a great range of motion, loading the hams, the glutes, the core, all of that sort of stuff. Because I feel like if I get that strong on me, then that lower back will hold out, the core will hold out, the legs will hold out when I go into the ATG position. And ultimately, that's where I get my strength. My confidence is if I go to a ATG position with confidence, knowing that I can do, let's say, 240 RDLs for a set of 5. Man, this 220 kilo squat is going to feel all right on my back. Even if I start caving in under that weight, I know my back can handle it. You know what I mean? That gives me confidence. And as we know, breaking PRs, there's a whole bunch of confidence associated with it. It's just, there's no two ways about it. This is one of the reasons I think pin squats are so vital. That's how I got to 210. I'll never forget that. I think about pin squats on a daily basis, but I want to give these RDLs a really good go. I think RDLs are a must. The pin squats, if I was on holidays right now, I'd probably start tinkering with pin squats as well. But I'm not in the phase where I want to express strength. I'm kind of in the building phase. Lots of volume on the RDLs, lots of volume on the squats. So I feel like pin squats are not really required right now, but I feel like if you're peaking for your strength, you want to express your maximum strength, I think throwing pin squats into that mix is a very, very good idea. Both central nervous system, preparing the connective tissue, it's so damn valuable. Right now, all I'm thinking is damn volume, just volume. because I'm doing these RDLs again, I can't do maximum squats. I can't work up to a single with squats if I'm absolutely wrecking my lower back and hamstrings and glutes with these RDLs. So I had no choice but to work with a higher kind of rep scheme. That's kind of how I decided to do these high rep squats. Whereas in the previous block of doing high rep squats, I was doing, low volume or just singles on the deadlift, and then I would do 5x5 with 160 squats. So that was a completely different take. That was me pushing the squats and basically resting the deadlifts. Now I'm building the deadlifts through an RDL, and for that reason I cannot go pushing high weight with squats because I'm not ready to be loaded after going through volume in the RDL. So you kind of have to prioritize how you want to train, what you want to target. For me, you might be different. For me, if I feel right now, if I get my posterior chain stronger, that's going to open up that next little tier of strength that I'm chasing. And my body's responding really well. The hips are feeling fantastic. I've spoken about a whole bunch of, you've asked me about hip pain. Pull to push ratio, man. That's where it's at. I'm doing a whole lot of pulling every single day. Pulling. That's making my hips feel really good, stable, under control. In a few days, tomorrow I'm gonna wrap up the whole year. I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna try and tie the whole thing up. I'm gonna try and sit down and summarize the whole year, how I went through the whole thing and what I've learned, summarize the stuff. But a large part of it is just the fact that the posterior chain kept going in and out of my mind with a whole different exercises. The posterior chain on a squat everyday program in particular needs to be an utmost concern. The squat's the king, but there needs to be a balance, man. There needs to be a balance. Otherwise, your joints are going to get pissed off. The same thing is for if you're bench pressing with a high frequency. You have to pull with a high frequency. There's no two ways about it. If you leave it like that, the joint's going to get pulled out of whack, and you're going to be suffering. But I'm feeling wrecked right now, but I'm also feeling happy right now in terms of how everything feels. It's a good spot to be in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.